Good morning, or probably afternoon by the time this is uploaded, y'all. It's a late start on Saturdays. I hope you've enjoyed the sunny, warm days we've had lately, although this morning is maybe a little different. I have to say, I don't know if you caught it last night, but I was actually pretty surprised yesterday evening at seeing maybe the first real thunderstorm I have seen over on this side of the pond. And I've heard thunder before, off in the distance, and I'm sure they've happened overnight when I haven't noticed. But as I've told my mom, usually when I hear the thunder, it sounds like someone taking the bins out. You have to actually listen to tell if it's thunder or something else. But last night, there was proper thunder and flashes of lightning, and the sky was super dark, and the rain was coming down. It felt a bit like being back in South Carolina. You see, I'm no stranger to thunderstorms. They are a nearly daily occurrence throughout the summers back home. And I don't mean just a few rumbles, I mean legit storms. And actually, someone else can verify this for me. As I was reading through these lovely journals of John Wesley, I found him describe these thunderstorms when he was in Georgia. He says, "Thunder and lightning are expected almost every day in May, June, July, and August. They are very terrible, especially to a stranger." So there you go. Even John Wesley noted the thunderstorms in the South, and they've clearly been around for quite some time. And you know, the storm yesterday put me right back in that mindset of getting things storm ready, of battening down the hatches. It's always good to be prepared. So as soon as I saw the lightning start to flash, I got up and I closed all the windows. I made sure all the non-essentials were unplugged. I got the dogs together, sat down with my weather app, ready to ride it out. Now, it turns out the whole thing only lasted like 10 minutes. It was a bit anticlimactic, but it did bring to mind all those stormy days I was used to growing up. And one of the hardest things about stormy weather, in my opinion, is knowing exactly how much to worry about it all. As a kid, I would often be out, I remember, at pool parties with the other kids, and pretty often a storm would come rolling through right in the middle of the fun. They always happened at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, strangely enough. And there was always this point where you weren't sure if you should get out of the water or not. A bit of rain, no problem, you're wet anyway. Small rumbles off in the distance, not too bad, pay attention. But that first flash, nope, time to get out and frantically grab all the stuff that needs to stay dry and run inside. And of course, after the worst of it was over, there were different opinions on when it was safe to go back out again. As soon as the lightning is gone, once the rain has let up, once the sky is mostly clear again. Decisions usually aided by the weather forecast, and I am sure by the remaining patience of the adults who were maybe tired of dealing with a mass of children stuck inside. And of course, if there was any sign of the storm going or coming back after we'd gone out again, it was back inside straight away to wait it all out all over again. Yes, those stormy afternoons feel very familiar these days. It would seem like we're in that place of slowly deciding to come back out after the main downpour has passed by. And the worries have changed a bit from that initial concern to get out of the storm to more of a watching and a waiting to see if it's safe to get back in the water, if it's safe to stay outside, and a watching to see just in case the storm comes back. Now, despite, or perhaps because of, my long experience growing up with stormy weather, I don't like thunderstorms at all. Even last night, knowing that it was unlikely to be anywhere near as bad as a normal afternoon thunderstorm back home, I still felt that worry creeping up. So perhaps it's unsurprising that one of my favorite stories in the Bible has to do with stormy weather. So I'll read from the Gospel of Mark. That day when evening came, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." Now, what I love about this story are several things. Perhaps the first, the disciples are a lot like me, scared of storms that come up out of nowhere, perhaps not as trusting as they should be, but still thinking to turn to Jesus, even if they aren't really sure what he could possibly do in this situation. And two, seeing that Jesus does do something, that he does have the power to still the storm, even at its height. Now, I'm sure this wasn't the first storm the disciples went through, and it would surely not be the last. But the message of this storm is that Jesus is present through all of them, with them no matter what, and that he has the power to still even the strongest of storms when the time is right. Now, the story is pretty familiar to most of us, I'd imagine, but I, for one, still need to hear it, to be reminded of it every now and again, both when it's literally storming outside, but also when we're in days or seasons that feel pretty stormy the whole way through. And I need to hear it both when that storm is looming, as well as when it's right overhead, and even when it seems like it's passed over. It's important to have that reminder that we're not in this storm alone, that it's normal to be afraid, that we still have someone we can turn to, someone who does have the power to still the storm, both outside as well as the storm that's brewing inside each one of us. So, as y'all go out today over the next week, trying to see how bad that storm is, trying to decide if it's safe enough to get back in the water, as it were, know that no matter what, we're not alone in the middle of it. We have each other, and above all, we have Jesus. We have our God who can calm all the storms of this life. So, stay safe and take care.